Okay. This is an interview with Terry Roan for Mrs. Whetstone's senior English class at Perry High School. This interview is part of an oral history of Vietnam called Project Vietnam. This interview is being conducted at Pizza Oven on November 21st, 1988. My name is Amy Kent. Okay. In what branch of the military did you serve?
Navy.
How old were you when you served in Vietnam?
I was 22.
What was your highest rank?
E3, which would be a seaman.
What was your assignment while serving in Vietnam?
See, on a ship you have different assignments. You have your regular job, and then when you're in combat you have another job. My regular job, I was a printer, and I was in an 8-inch turret during missions. Shooting.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I was drafted and given the choice. Back then you had, they gave me 6 days notice, so I went to the Navy.
Okay. During what years was your tour did?
Overseas. My tour duty overseas was from August of '67 to June of '68.
Could you describe your first impressions of Vietnam?
My first impressions. I don't know. I guess it don't really hit you until you're there a while.
Do you remember any specific thing about it when you first got there?
Well, when I first got there, the first night we went on a mission, we come close to getting sunk. So that'd be my first impression. I guess we didn't get hit, or we just got shrapnel, but we didn't get hurt. So.
What about Vietnam was different from what you had expected it to be?
I think maybe the long hours and probably I didn't really expect to, at that age, to just go off and get into a war. I just thought maybe it wasn't quite as bad as what it was when I got there, but very long hours, 22 hours a day, once in a while.
How was the combat in Vietnam different from the fighting in previous wars?
In Vietnam, my own opinion, in Vietnam, the war was brought home every night to your TVs, where in the previous wars, you only seen it at the movie house usually. There was no TV, so.
You think what they brought home was accurate?
Well, they had pictures, so a lot of it was accurate. They didn't get in to see the nitty gritty once in a while, but fairly accurate. I wouldn't say it was accurate.
What do you remember most vividly about Vietnam?
Good memories or bad memories?
Any.
Leaving. But I mean, I don't know. The things I remember most, it was the long hours. One day run into the next somebody, you didn't ask somebody what time it was, you wondered what day it was. Tuesday, Wednesday. Didn't come in within 2-3 days once in a while what day it actually was. It was one day run into the next.
What fears dominated your life while you were in Vietnam?
What?
What fears dominated your life while you were in Vietnam?
Getting home.
Yeah. How would you summarize your feelings about the war?
I believe it was a political war. It was fought by the people in Washington, D.C., and not by the generals.
Do you feel it was necessary?
Yeah. I feel anything to stop communism is necessary, and I go back to war today to stop it. So.
When someone mentions Vietnam, what are the first thoughts that come to your mind?
Now or when I get out?
No, when they mention it to you.
Thoughts that come to my mind are this person that mentioned how he felt about the war. Because, see, when I come back from the war, it was right after the Tet Offensive. That's when I was there. And you didn't mention you was from Vietnam because you got in a fight. Because you get spit on and everything else. And I got fights because of it. So I don't know.
What will you never be able to forget about the war?
Buddies that are still over there. Friends of mine from Mass.
How did you change as a direct result of the war?
Probably I became hostile when I came home. Usually pretty quiet when I got more longer I was home, the more hostile I got because of the feelings. When I was there, I thought I was doing the country a favor. When I got back,
Yeah.
I seen, the younger generation, which was my generation, didn't have the same feelings. But the thing is, it was only a minority of them, but they're the ones that got the publicity. So you never seen the good side. All you seen was the riots. You never seen the good side of the veterans coming back, what they got to do.
What was the most important thing you want people to understand about Vietnam?
That we was over there fighting for the country, fighting for your generation and my generation too. And I got a kid that's 11, so I was fighting for him. He wasn't born yet, but that's what he's fighting for, this country. Nobody else.
Have you ever been to the wall in Washington, D.C.?
I was there when they dedicated it. Been back since. I was there when they dedicated the wall. I was there when they dedicated the statues. Me and 500 other thousand.
Can you describe what the wall means to veterans of war?
I don't know. I guess you'd have to be a veteran to go down and touch the name of one of your buddies. I got 3 of them that got killed at the same day, the same time, and to go down and touch their name. And I was with one of the mothers. Richie Fuchs is his name from Massillon. I was with his mother. It gives you a funny feeling inside to see the names. Actually, all the names of the guys that died are still there.
Did the training you received in boot camp prepare you for the war? No. What did you learn about yourself as a result of being involved in the war?
What I learned about myself? I would say I learned to come out of my shell. I learned that I was a person should be treated as a person that should be treated as a veteran. I don't know.
Do you have any definite feelings toward the Vietnamese people?
Yeah, I got. They're my enemies as far as I'm concerned.
Would you go back to visit if you had the opportunity?
Yeah. Well, you mean in South Vietnam, maybe? I don't know. I might. I put it that way. I don't really have any. I'd rather go to Colorado or someplace.
When you look at the American flag today, what do you feel?
It still puts chills, and I'm a flag right waver. I fly a flag at my house, and I'm a 100% American, so a flag gives me a certain feeling.
Do you have any final comments you would like to share?
No, I just hope you guys do take a positive look at the Vietnam veterans, because for 10 or 12 years after I was out, nobody had a positive feeling. They only showed the negative side of the Vietnam veteran. They never showed like I say, they showed people rioting. They showed if something happens bad, they'll show that. If you read the newspapers, if somebody got shot or there's something happened, they always mention it was a Vietnam veteran. They don't say he was a First World War veteran, he was a Second World War veteran, he's a Korean veteran. They never mention that, but if something happened with a Vietnam veteran, they always mention that, and it puts that, gives a Vietnam veteran a bad rap. And I think, I hope you guys go in with a positive attitude, thinking, we're normal people. Vietnam veterans no different from maybe your parents or your son. I don't know, maybe your parents could be brothers or sisters, or fathers. You're old enough, or your father could be a Vietnam veteran, or a mother. First girl killed in Vietnam was from Canton, Sharon Lane. So I think you ought to visit our memorial in Massillon, go down and see what we got in Stark County. My name's on the side of that because I helped form the group that built that. If you've never been, was you ever down there?
No.
You guys ought to go down there, right where City Hall is. There's a real nice monument and a statue there.
I saw it there, but I've never been up against it.
You ought to go and look at it. There's 136 men and women killed from Stark County, 16 from Massillon alone, which is Life magazine come in and done an article because so many 16 from a small town was a pretty large number. But I hope you look at it with a positive attitude, not a negative.
Is there any other questions?
I had some, I forgot. I forgot as we kept going.
I've been involved when I got back, I got involved with the VFW, which is Veterans of Foreign Wars in Massillon. I went up through the different areas and called district. There's 9 districts, there's 9 counties in our district, and at the present time I'm pursuing on the state level, which would mean I'd be ahead of the VFW on the state level in 3 years. I've been involved with veterans, and I've traveled and been with them a lot all over the state of Ohio. In fact, I've been all over the nation, but mostly in the state.
With you being on a ship, did your battling ever exceed the ship? How many times did you get to dock to like refuel?
You never dock. You refuel out at sea. That's why I say the long hours. We had the long hours. A typical day, if you started at, say, at midnight, you can figure he was on watch 4 hours and off watch 4 hours. So if you started at midnight, you had to watch till 4. Well, you got up at 6. You get up at 6 and do whatever, and you start working at 8. Well, at 8 you're back on watch, so you miss 4 hours of work. But when you come back off at 12, you work till 4 because your working hours 8 to 4. So then then at 6 you're back on watch till 10. So days run into each other. When you rearm, we rearmed one time 6 nights in a row. And it takes from about 11 o'clock at night till 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, depending on how much we've done that 6 nights in a row. At 6 o'clock you get back up, you don't get to go to sleep. So it's just a long hours.
From the history I was taught about Vietnam, I didn't know too much about the Navy aspect of the war. Did the North Vietnamese have, where did they get their battleships?
The North Vietnamese really had no ships. They had what they call whiblets. It was a wooden boat. They used to ship ammunition from the north to the south and food from the north to the south. They used to keep records of how many you could sink. A ship before us had a record. They sunk 7 or 8 of them. I think that was a record. We sunk 65 while I was there. That was during the Tet Offensive. So we shot. You might be sleeping at 3 in the morning and they didn't wake you up for general quarters. They just fired because there was always guns manned. And Christmas Eve, we sunk 11 in a row Christmas Eve during the ceasefire. So like you said about the reporting was accurate. Fairly accurate, but not completely, because we sunk 11 ships and we wasn't supposed to be shooting. So we figured we saved lives because them 11 ships I've seen us hit ships where people would be fishing over the side and wave to you. They'd be way off. You'd be through binoculars and they'd wave to you and you'd hit them. They'd go 400 or 500 feet in the air. It wasn't fishing, they were carrying ammunition. It was soldiers dressed as civilians carrying ammunition and food. So we just. It was long hours, very long hours. But you never, when you refuel, you do it you go at least 15 miles out and you do it out of sea.
How do they fight back against you?
Mostly 8-inch weapons firing back at us. Because our 8-inch weapons, we could shoot with accuracy. We could shoot. You know where Tussauds High School is? We could 13 miles. That'd be about 13 miles, maybe even farther than that.
How far away from shore did you guys stay?
We backed into river beds. That's how close we was to shore, which was unusual, but we did it. They had to back into. They kicked mud up and down because we was on a big ship. It was 719 feet long. So.
Did you think it was easier being on a battleship than it would have been being in
I
combat?
thought it was easier.
It was
when I was going over, but I'd go back in the Army before I go in the Navy on that same ship. Some guys on the ships had it different. We had a 3-star admiral on our ship, so he was every place something happened. That's where he was. The closest we got to shore was taking prisoners in. We'd sunk a couple of PT boats. PT boats about the only really ship they would have. So like Kale's Navy, a PT boat that size, and but other than that. There was never any prisoners from the whiblets, just little ships we hit. There was never any survivors from them.
Didn't you had a choice of just whatever to go in. So, you know what I mean? Like Army or the Navy or whatever.
So when I was drafted, now after they changed it, when I was drafted, they called me on a Monday and said I had to leave Friday, 6 days notice, instead of 5 day notice. Not they changed it; they had to give you a 30-day notice. So they just give me the choice, and we counted off is what we did. We was up in Cleveland and they 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, first they asked for volunteers, and about 15 of them or whatever, I don't remember. And 15 guys volunteered, and I always heard don't volunteer, so I didn't. They went off to a corner, and somebody said, "What do they volunteer for?" He said, "The Marines." So then they come over, and the rest of us counted off 1, 2, 1, 2. You still had the choice. If you didn't want to go to the Navy, you could have went to the Army. I wanted to get it over with.
Is there any reason like you went into the Army or the Navy?
They didn't make me go within 6 days. I held out. You could go anytime, within a year. So I didn't want to pack up and leave in 6 days. I had a good job, car to pay for. I had things to take care of before I left. So
was your initial thought whenever you said you'd wait out that year is maybe the conflict or the war maybe would end?
No, see, when I went in '66 and really hadn't got hot and heavy yet. So right after I went in, that's when it started. Then, of course, I was there during a Tet Offensive, and that was the peak of it there. So I just I was there the wrong time.
Your aspirations of the war being shorter?
Yeah, well, not really. The way it was going, the politicians was running. See, the politicians, you got to let the generals fight the war, and the politicians do the politics. So they let the wrong people take care of the war. Your generation could have the same thing. We got people coming up from the South, and you can be looking at the exact same thing I did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's something to take a good look at it. Don't just say, it's no good. War is no good. But remember, you got to protect this country because you're going to have kids someday too. So. We got people knocking at our back door right now in Nicaragua. So it's something to look at. And they're not going to. People think that war will never come to this country. It's just we've protected our country. That's why it hasn't been here. But them people, they don't care. They don't care about their lives. When they fight, it's just they don't care if they die. It's an honor to most countries if they die in a fight. So, but if they start marching from the south to Mexico, Mexico's too poor and lazy to do anything. So you could have the same thing in another few years.
Yeah. Whenever you, how long of a period were you over in Vietnam?
10 months, a little over 10 months.
10 months? And that whole time you said you never really dodged?
Oh, yeah. Not in Vietnam. We'd go, yeah, they only, I think the most they keep you out there, kept us out, was 40 days, but they usually didn't keep you 25 to 30 days because you just can't keep people confined to a ship hours and hours. So we go to Yokosuka, Japan, or Sasebo, up to Subic Bay in the Philippines is our home port. And went to China a couple of times, Hong Kong a couple of times.
How long would you have time?
Once in a while, we just go up for 2-3 days. Once in a while,
Practically probably just sleep.
Just to get you off. You gotta, because people go stir crazy.
Did you have any problems with people not coming back? Or?
No, never.
Good.
I suppose some of them did, but we was lucky. We always had to have a destroyer with us to have sonar for submarines. Every ship that was ever with us got hit and had people killed where we did. Most we got was shrapnel, blew our crane off a couple times, but never anybody getting hurt from fire.
What kind of weapons did they use against you? Like what?
Mostly 8-inch. Almost 100% Russian supplied. See, whenever we picked up shrapnel off the deck, they'd send it to get it analyzed. It was all from Russia. So we sat. See, I was in North Vietnam almost all the time. We didn't spend much time in the South. The only time we went down, like I said, was to take prisoners down to Da Nang one time. Other than that, we was always up north by High. We get as far as 17 miles from High Fallen Harbor, which was about, I think we was only allowed within 30, 40 miles. And we got real close a few times, and we watched Russian, 100% of their oil come from Russia. So.
How do you suggest that the government go about finding out about the Michigan action? Is there any way or any actions they can take?
Just putting pressure on Vietnam. I'm a firm believer there's still guys over there. I got stacks. I'm in the National League of Families. I get mail in from them every month. But I'm a firm believer there's guys over there, and I'm not telling us about them. Even if they're dead, they should be sending remains back. You know, it's at least it's morbid not to. I think, you know, but they claim we owe money. They're not going to do it. So we owe money for the war. My feelings are, whenever you go to war, you don't owe anybody. They're just by pressure, we get them back little by little.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Like I said, I could have showed you pictures.
Okay, then on behalf of Perry High School and the students involved in Project Vietnam, we would like to thank you for your time and your contribution.
You're welcome.